Hello and welcome back to another How To with Bear Radio. I'm Julia Gibert, a co-founder here at Bear Radio, and I know full well how much goes into launching a podcast. It's a lot of work, and it's why we always encourage our students to look into developing a podcast roadmap. It's a roadmap that sets you out, it streamlines you for your full production process, and also makes sure that you've covered all your bases and haven't forgotten anything. In this video, I'll be getting into the pre-production roadmap, but there will be a second video next month that will cover the post-production side of things. So that's the one you want to watch when you've recorded your episode, everything's ready to go, you just need to put her out into the world and get her noticed. So let's get into the pre-production roadmap. First up, planning. There are a number of things that you need to get sorted in the planning stage, and it's why we encourage you to ask yourself a couple of questions. For example, what is the format? Is it a solo cast? Is it a conversational podcast? Is it narrative storytelling? Is it fictional storytelling? You need to know what it's about, and equally, you need to know what it's not about. Who do you want to talk to? Who do you want your guests to be? How do you want people to feel when they're listening to your podcast? Are you wanting there to be an emotion? Are you wanting there to be action taken after listening to your episode? Is there a narrative arc? Realistically, how much time do I have to dedicate to this project? Is it a hobby? Is it a part-time gig? Or is this how I'm going to earn my livelihood? And be realistic about that question. A lot of us have friends, families, children, dogs. These are all things that factor into time that is used for other things and valuable things, and you need to be realistic about where you're going to slot your podcast recording and development and distribution, where that's going to fit into things. And a final question to ask in these early stages: who, if anyone, is going to be on your team? Are you comfortable being host and producer and distributor and social media manager? Or do you have people who are interested in more of the behind the scenes things and you can just be the host, or vice versa? Then on to the podcast production side of things. Here as well, there are some questions that you should be asking yourself. How will I record? What tools will I need? What skills do I have? And what skills do I still need? How often am I going to record? How am I going to edit? In past videos, we have recommended Hindenburg as a really great software, but there's a lot of other software out there, some of it free, that you can use to do your editing. Do I want music? If I do want music, where am I going to source it? And finally, when you know what your podcast is about, you know who you're going to talk to, you know the style that it's going to fit into, whether it's got music or it's just simple conversation, you get to the branding and graphics side of things. Very fun, but often the thing that people come to first, and I'd really recommend that it come a little lower in your rung of importance. Yes, of course, it's fun to design a logo and come up with a name, but if you don't have a podcast, it can be very hard to work backwards from there. So to start, what is the name of the podcast? Is it a clever name? Is it a punny name? Is it my own name because I'm Oprah Winfrey and everyone will know who I am? Does it work with SEO? Are people going to be able to find it and understand who I am just by the title of my podcast? Do I like the name? You'd be surprised how many podcasters come to us telling us that they have a name for their podcast, but they don't want to tell us because they don't like it. Even if it is a great name, if you hate the name, I would choose something else. Obviously, also really important if others like the name too. Something that you want to find out early on as well is your name original? Hop onto those podcatchers and search for your name. If anything comes up that's the same name, unfortunately, you're going to have to find something new or reach out to that podcast and see if you can buy the name from them. With regards to logos, are you going to reach out to maybe a local artist like we like to do? Or are you just going to go to Canva like we used to do and develop your logos there? Canva is a fantastic tool. It is very easy, very simple, and we've had no issues developing logos through Canva. So that's an option for you as well. I'd also say be mindful of what colors, shapes, tones, images you use when you're designing your logo. All of these things mean something. Colors mean something. Fonts make people feel something. So think about what those mean and what they are. Not just, oh, I like these colors, but how do these colors make people feel, and what do they think when they see my logo in their podcatcher? Obviously, this was a very brief overview of the pre-production roadmap. If you would like something more in detail, I'd encourage you to consider one of our workshops. We cover everything from planning your podcast and ideation to recording, editing, mastering, marketing, everything. So head over to bearradio.org if you want to see what workshops we have on offer. Otherwise, stick around for part 2 of this video that's coming your way in November.